Hello. I hope I'm not speaking too loud. I have a person who's right across the barrier who's sleeping, and I don't want to wake him up. I'm sorry, guy. Hello. Say welcome back to 100 Days of Game Development. This is day number 18, and I have a goal to implement a way to pause the game. Now, let me go ahead and open up the game to show where I'm at exactly. But what I remember from yesterday was that I created a level and I started fixing some of the players' movement code, and that made me feel really good. Now, so I'm pretty sure it's still the same way. I'm gonna go ahead and start the game. I do have some sounds, and I kind of want to hear the sounds. It's kind of quiet, but hopefully you guys can hear the like little clicks that the players are making when they move. Also, let's go ahead and start the game. Yeah, so I remember that I can move boxes, and I set up this nice puzzle, but it had a bug where if you say crates can push each other, so it makes it so this puzzle it makes it so that only a single person can solve this puzzle, which is not what we want. And when the players touch each other, you win. So now that I have that, I want to make a pause menu, or to I want when the players to win, I want them to go to a you win screen. I think I'll work on the pause menu first, just so I have like a nice loop of what's gonna go on. I haven't designed what the menu will look like just yet, because I still have to work on getting the offset of the buttons. That's something that's blocking me. Right now, when you play the game, I have I have these buttons that need to be need to be offset by some amount. So right now, yeah, it's just the texture, and it's just for the buttons. I remember talking to to Sam about this, and he gave me a pretty nice solution. I'll have to go back into my retrospective to see what that is. But until then, we're still going to try to implement a way for the player to pause the game. I have this nice UI screen, which doesn't have too much in it. It has a panel that's the background of the screen, and it has a label for if I need to label anything. I think that's really all I need to use. I'm gonna start it off by signaling an event that the game is being paused. So yeah, some scripts I need are the UI script, possibly the player. No, but I was thinking about having the players stop moving, or not. You're unable to move the players while the pause menu is going on, but I do want you to move, so I'll move that out. I definitely need the grid. Close this one, and what I'll do is I'll make a global event. That'll a global pause event. So if I want any other structures or any other nodes to hear about it, they can. And it'll be like this: signal pause. It takes nothing. I'm using this comment block here because Godot will warn me when I don't use my signals in the script that I'm currently making them in. But all of this script here is actually a singleton that just contains a bunch of structures for signals and possibly any other variables I may need to go with that. So now we can go. Actually, I do need the player because it's on the player where you'll be able to pause the game. So I have these nice options buttons set up, and I just need to go to the input map under project settings to have that go down. We'll call it pause. I'm gonna pause the game. It'll be a joy button, and it'll be set up to device 1 and to device 2. Now I just have to decide what button that is. Yeah, LR, R3, select, so start with Nintendo. It's weird because I have these, I have a PlayStation 4 controller. Now that I think about it, I'm using two different controller setups. A PlayStation 4 controller and an Xbox controller. I think this is for the Xbox One, but I think they operate the same way. So maybe they don't. Or I guess they have, like, I'm wondering about the center button that I have. I don't see an option for that. Both controllers have like their logo on the center, but I guess I won't be using that button at all. I'll set it up as the start for device 0 and for device 1, so they can both handle it together. I don't think they'll have to do it separately. Joy button. Make sure I select device 1 or all devices. Fine. Maybe that should have been the same way for those two. Next time I'll make sure. I'll probably clean that up by making them all devices later. I'll write it down as a note. Select all devices. Initially I'm gonna have the game just kind of freeze and lock up to test that I can pause. That'll disable any sort of processing, which is gonna be nice. Start. Yep. There we go. I can get rid of that one. So any device that presses the start button is going to be able to pause. And the state of the game at that time is going to be paused. And we're going to set it to false initially. There. Control C. Control V. Alright. So now I can go into the player and I can go to where I get some input, which is right here in this function. Right now it's just doing directional input, and I'm gonna add one for if the pause button is pressed. I could do it here, or I could do it in its own separate function to keep this function not doing this, but yeah, not to intermingle the logic or anything. I think this is still a good place to put all of my input for the players. I just have to make sure to comment it. So movement input, and then down here I'll do some extra stuff. If player 1 or player 2, yeah, we don't care about that. So now I can check. I can just do an if statement, another if statement for pausing. If is action just pressed, pause, we're gonna emit a signal. Globals, or it won't keep up with me syntactically if I don't do this right here. Global events dot or emit signal. There we go. Pause. Boom. Movement, we got pausing going on. Ooh, Control S. So now, what are some of the things, or what are some of the nodes that need to do things when we're pausing? I'll just put this down a little bit further too, separate it. I keep pressing Control A instead of Control S. Well, definitely the UI. I need to change that panel and change that to text. But I also need the grid. To listen to the on pause. Also, it cares when the game is paused. This may actually be the first event that the grid listens to. Which is going to be interesting. So I get to write up one of these. Yeah, I've just been copying and pasting the code for connecting all of my signals, because it doesn't really change that much minus the strings inside. Input connect. It's not input connect. I'm looking for globals. Pause. And I'm going to write a new function on pause. There. No, I no longer need that. Just listen for any global events. And I'll go ahead and write this function on pause. Control C. Up. See, it probably should be at the bottom, because if I remember correctly, these can get pretty pedantic when we're writing them. And usually don't take up very much code or space. Pause. Control C. Control V. So when we pause the game, we're just gonna clear the board. We no longer need everything on the board. There, clears the board when the game is paused. I actually need to save the state of the board, but we will do that at another time. For now, I'll just reload the level whenever we unpause. Yep, we're gonna clear the level when the game is paused. I'll make a note. Level should be saved. This, yeah. Before clearing the board. TBH, to be honest. So that when the player unpauses, we can just load the level back up. But an interesting quirk about the way that I'm doing menus is that I'm clearing the board so I can place other buttons on the board, and that can actually be loaded from an event. I could load that from I could load that from the grid, honestly. I have a couple places I could load that from, I think. Or yeah, the grid can do it because, or rather it's better if the world does it, or I don't want to call it world, but my level selector, you can load a new level after. Yeah. But I have to be careful about making sure I know which order to do it in. Yeah, so actually I won't have this here. Control. I will put it inside of my world. I want to ensure that I clear the board, or rather that I'm able to save the state of the game and then clear the board. If I put the clear function in the grid, I won't be able to tell like what's going to happen first, because I don't necessarily control what order the events happen in. But grid.clear, easy. And I'll go ahead and grab that function I had before that I thought was going to go into the grid. I'm going to place it, Control X, pass, right back over into the world. The world gets E, the second one, Control V, and we'll use the same variable for the error code. Boom. Yeah, let's put those together like that. Cool. We're gonna clear the grid. We could also, yeah, I keep thinking about like in other normal like 2D games or strategy games, or when you pause, it like actually stops the whole process from happening, and that's not what my game does. You can still move around while you're in menus, so I'm just trying to get in my head. Yeah, clear the board. I think that'll be a good start. I do want to check if like when I run the game and I hit the start button, that it actually just clears the board. So first with the Xbox controller. No. Nope. Nothing. So that didn't work. But what about with the PS4 controller? Ah, with the PS4 controller it did work. So I had to figure out exactly what button my Xbox is pressing to make sure that they're both doing it. Yeah. So to do that, I'm surprised I haven't done this already, honestly, is to write a, let's say, to go into my, one of my private functions, the input event, and just print out any events any events that occur. Did I write this in the middle of something? I did. I wrote this in the middle of my function. This is what happens when you're working in tabs and okay, I see. There. Maybe if I collapse it, it'll that'll be better. I mean, yeah. If I hit enter, yeah, it just goes in there. Is there a nicer way? There is. Okay. For input event. And normally this will be commented out, but whenever I'm testing stuff on the controller, I need to like see what I'm actually pressing. I want to be able to support as many controllers as I can. And I know I've played games before where I plugged in a controller and the controller didn't work, and I went on like this long rabbit hole to see what was going on, and I would spend days on it, and it would be super frustrating, and eventually I would just give up and not be able to play that game. I'm talking about BioShock. When it was on Steam, it didn't work very well with my controller, and I didn't have any other controllers, so I just had to give up and go play other games. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Let's I need to filter those for sure. Event joypad motion. Oh god. Yeah, the game just reran itself out. I didn't mean for that to happen. Oh, yeah, okay. Let's filter that. Printing all the events just overloads the buffer. If event equals or is input event joypad button. There we go. If it's one of these, print out what it is. So nice. Well, I mean it's actually not that descriptive, to be honest. I need more information than that. I wonder what this input event, like what I can really get from that, and I can check the docs for that. Input. See if I do that. Yeah. So it gives me an input event. Shortcut match. As text. Accumulate. Oh, accumulate. That's interesting. I think that's for like fighting games. I feel like that's for fighting games. Let me go read this. There's no description. Gosh. For like if you want to chain together a bunch of events to do things, that sounds cool. Action is action released, is action type, returns true input is typed to one of the constants. I'm pressing buttons on the thing and it's joypad button. Button index. Oh, I might be able to get button identifier, one of the joy button constants from the global scope. Pressure, cool, pressed. I'm gonna try out this button index. I think that is what it's printing by default, but let me go look at this. Input. Or enum type. What are these for? There, operator, vline, property usage. I probably should like move up to like input. This is probably about all the input stuff, to be honest. Key list. Joystick list. DualShock. Xbox can, yeah, here we go. I want to see some of this stuff. So what I'll do is event dot index, button index. Yeah, I just want to see the button index. Let's go. I'll test it out with one of the other buttons, like pressing the A button. Gives me 0. What about X? Gives me 2. Go back and look at this. Go back and look at this. Go back and look at this. DualShock controller 0 or B, and then I pressed 2, which was X. Or here we go. A, X, Y, and then B. Yep. Joy button. Joy Xbox. Joy DS. Joy Axis. So now I'm going to press the start button. It's going to be 7, which isn't R2, which isn't joypad right trigger. I hope not. It's coming up as being on the right trigger, which kind of makes me sad because I know it's not that. Joy button 7. That could just be what it is, joy button 7. So I don't think any other buttons are that button. Joy button 6 and 7 are my generic buttons. So what I'll do is I'll go into my input and I'll put in joy button 7, whatever that one is. Let's add a new one. It's going to be on all devices. It's saying joy button 7 is R2. Man, that's not it. Key? What happens if I press a button? Okay, nothing. Joy axis? But these are different axes. It's thinking I'm pressing the R2 button, and not a fan of that. But what I'll do is, if R2 pauses, then it might just be the R2 pauses the game. This doesn't feel right. There we go. Or I could just check it myself. Like, this is nice and all, but I can also check it myself for pausing. I'm not going to. Yo. Because yeah, I don't plan for the game to have. Let's see if R2 for the P. We'll test that it works on the Xbox controller or this Joy controller that I have. It's a knockoff brand, but it has the Xbox symbol on it. Ah, it doesn't. But if I press start, it works. These button maps are weird. Now I'm gonna test it on the Xbox controller, or sorry, on the PS4 controller. R2 also clears it. So Xbox, you're just one weird guy. You're just one weird guy. Joy start. It said I was pressing like 7, so like I can't even. It's not. It's just not that button. Okay. Anyway, I digress. Hey, R2 pauses the game also. Not happy about it, but it does. But now I can work on like the UI. It cares that the game is paused. It cares about a lot of things going on. Like going to the main menu, winning. So I'll write another function. So I'll copy this. What I want to happen is that it like shows a kind of translucent screen. And it shows that the game is paused and possibly shows some menus that you can select on pause. Because that would be nice. Ooh. No, being hung up. I found that if I open the terminal when my game is hanging up and then close it, it clears out whatever process that I was trying to run at 9:30 at night. I still haven't figured out like what the source of that is. But now I know how to stop it. For now, I have a trick behind solving it. Not the best. Control V. Level include. It takes nothing. There. And go past, so I can go ahead and explain what it does. Control C. Control V. So, when the game is paused, I'm going to show a pause screen when the game is paused. And I'll pull up my UI over here. Don't need import, so I can look at what it is I'm doing. So I'm definitely saying panel dot show, or rather I'm checking if the game is paused. If not paused, and this is coming from global, if it is paused, then I just need to hide, and I'll do an else. Hide the panel. Easy. But else, because there's only 2 states you can be in, paused or unpaused, I'm gonna say panel show. And we're going to change the text to that label and probably recenter it. Like this right here. We probably could play some music too while this is going, or like muffle the music, but I don't have any music right now. Show pause screen when the game is paused. I'll put pause menu. Alright, let's check that out. Oh, it's gonna make it black. I need to change the transparency of this panel before I show it. So it's panel dot visibility, or we call the color modulate. We're gonna modulate the color. I'm gonna pass in a color. I could pass in a color name. but I need to pass in an RGB. So give me all the black, give me all the green, all the blue, all that, and we'll make it 0.5 for the alpha, and then there we go. Or self-modulate. I want the text to like show in all its intensity. Okay. Going into the game. Pausing the game. Broke it. Panel doesn't have a self-modulate function, or you know what? It's probably self-modulate. It's not a function. It's just a variable. So there, let's set it up that way. Oh, let's rerun it. So let's go ahead and start the game. Pause. But it's not. I cleared the screen. The characters are no longer on the screen. I would have to put them back, actually, and that gives me a chance to put them where I want to. I wanna say it's 9:30. Okay, yeah. I'm like, oh wait, no. Have I gone over time? I haven't. Okay. And when I hit the button again, I would like to unpause, but I'm not getting anything after that. Oh, because I deleted the players. I do have to place the players back, or you won't be able to unpause the game. So, hey, world script, I'm gonna need you to place my players back. Or I guess not place them back as much as I need to go make another level that'll place them back, and I'll just load that level in. Yeah, that seems like a better solution. What do I have open here? I have my retrospectives open. Not what I want open right now. Oh, I need to check my battery life too. I have 17%. I'm gonna go run up and grab my charger to make sure that I can continue streaming. So I'll be right back. And I'm back. I hope it wasn't too long. Nope, doesn't look like it. Alright, back to it. We were pausing. I have to add a player, which means I have to load another level, which means I get to create another level in the game. I'm excited about that. So I have them in prefabs under level. I'm gonna open this whole folder because I basically want to copy Visual Studio Code. I feel like for now, like level -1. Actually, I can call this one specifically. It doesn't have to be generated. Well, I mean, if I'm going to do go to level, then it needs to have a number. I think I can use negative numbers. I'm going to use a negative number. It's going to look weird. Level 0, 0, -1. Like, absolutely. But that's how I want to parse it. That's definitely a my choice thing. So I have special levels. And those levels are level 00, 00-1 is the pause menu. And I'll put one for level 000. It's just a main menu. There. And as I add more levels, like I'll probably add one for winning the game or winning that level, and maybe one for like selecting a new level, a level that allows you to go and select other levels, like level select menu. And I definitely won't work on them in this order, but just while I'm writing a few, I'll do intermission. Instead of calling it UN, I'll call it an intermission menu, like a menu in between levels, other than the pause menu. But to start working on this level, it's gonna look very much so like this one that I have down here. So I'm just gonna copy this whole thing and call it good. No. Control C. This will help me branch into fixing a bug with the player's offsets, so that I can have all of my things look nice. Start tile. See, they have a start tile in theirs, and I do want the start tile in mine. Or I don't want a start tile. I want like the main menu tile. Make sure I spell it right. Let me make sure that I start it right. Or do I just want the players in it and just have the players play around for now? Yeah, I think I'll instead of adding that special button, I'll just have the players be able to play around in this level for now. And I kind of want to put them towards the center. Nah. Level 1. Okay. So now that I have that awesome file, I can just go to level and call on go to level. And I pick a level I want to go to, -1, which is the pause menu. And it should load up another level with all the great people in it too. Or a break. Either one is fine with me. Okay. Pressing the button. that does pause, but does it unpause too? It doesn't unpause. It has nothing to unpause too. Or, oh, you know why? Makes perfect sense actually. I never flipped the switch. I said, hey, I checked if it's paused, but I need to also say, I need to, this can do nothing. I need to set that I've paused the game down here in the globals. I'll put it below all this stuff. Oh, I guess I have to do it for them both. Global events dot is pause is equal to true. You did pause the game. And then global events dot is paused equal to false. Well, if it is paused, hide it and unpause it. Yeah. And if it's true, pause it. I'm kind of concerned about that both of these buttons aren't working. Or, you know what? The one for the PS4 probably does work. It was probably just the unpause. I'm gonna... Oh, or did the controller get disconnected? Or, it's not, I'm connected. Do I have these things flipped in the wrong way? Now when I clear the screen by pressing the start button. So, if it is not paused, set it to true. Maybe it was because I started in a state where the panel was already showing. So, nope. That's not it. Here's what I'll do. Print statements. I didn't pause the game here, but I unpaused it. Unpause the game. Pause the game. To make sure that those are triggering correctly, I need to also go back into the player and remember to comment this out, because Control KC, yeah, comment that out. I don't need that anymore. That was just for testing. Let's try to pause the game again after moving. So it just, oh, it happened so fast. You know, I say, why would that be? Is it because I'm calling this function a bajillion times and it's never like saying, yo, stop? I think that may be the case. Yep. That's totally it. Is action just pressed? So now I know what I need to do. I need to move this get input into the input event instead of in the process. Let's see where this direction, where I'm using this direction, if at all. I'm setting the direction, and then I'm returning the direction I'm moving to do some checks. Didn't I also already try to put this inside of the input event? Didn't that make weird things happen? I'm gonna do it again, because I don't learn my lessons. Not fully anyway. Delete. So now this is only being called every time we hit a button. And I can go in my input and say, is action just pressed? delete. There. Control C, and I will Control V, Control Z, Control V, all of them. There. Now let's check if I'm grabbing a bunch of different inputs. Inputs been a pain. Hey, still move. Paused and unpaused the game. Paused and unpaused the game. Still happening multiple times. Why? Why is it happening multiple times? I'm only triggering the event once, I thought. Let's see if this has been called multiple times. Where players chosen to press pause. Okay, player. Pause the game, player. Oh. Player has chosen to press pause. Pause the game, and then player has chosen to press pause. Pause the game. Am I emitting the signal somewhere else? Yeah, really concerning that this is being called twice. I'm only calling get input one place. I guess I'll just like I want to watch it. And maybe like go and look to see how someone else is doing pause menus. Not the most exciting thing, but wait, because yep, continue. And it happens again. Maybe it has something to do with the order that I am clearing the board. But I don't think so. I will put grid a print statement in here. All the print statements. I gotta know what's going on in my game. So let's go up. Oh, yeah, I still have that breakpoint. Let's get rid of that breakpoint. Am I also clearing the board multiple times? Let's go back into the game. Or I forgot to hit continue on the debugger. Let's restart that, get that shenanigans out of there. So we chose to press pause, we cleared the board, and then we paused the game, and then somehow it wraps around, and it sees that we are trying to press pause again, and then it clears the board, and then it unpauses the game. Yeah, see the order of things that happen here? So we'll do that again, and I guess I'll pay attention by writing it down, like what's going on. Nope. Yeah, players chosen to press pause, clear the board, pause the game, and then players chosen to press pause, clear the board, unpause the game. What if I don't have it so that two buttons can do the same thing? I'm losing my ability to check my Xbox controller, but this whole multiple input thing is getting at me. Why am I able to detect multiple button presses? This shouldn't be happening. It's like functions are being called twice on that. There you go. How do I stop events from firing twice? It seems like someone did have an answer to this last year. It does. Program lifecycle and input handling. This is from 2005. Not exactly what I want. I think this is before. Yeah, this is before we had the function for just pressed. Back in, I think, 2.2. Yeah, let's check all this issues. Maybe the issue has been closed. Yeah. Well, investigator found that problem is causing it to check inside the signal function. Apparently, signal sequence several times before input stops. If you just check it, so with. I'm not using the input system properly. You want to check input inside of an event handler. Typically, event. In this case, you must check whether or not an event is in action or not. Or you want to check an event handler if input I see. So I should be checking the input event itself. That's what they're saying. That the way that I did it was I checked the state using input.isGetAction. They're saying pass in the event, which I'll do. I'll try it out. I'm gonna run over time a little bit, but if this fixes my issue, then I'll be happy. Instead of checking that, just check if the event that had just happened was the one. That would save me a bunch of time. Or that'd be another bug I fixed, or a bug that I thought I fixed that I am now able to fix. So we're gonna run it this way to see if anything breaks. Yep. Non-existent function is in base event joypad motion. Okie dokie. Even though your code said, oh, event is action released. Is action released. Okay. So it sounds so alluring to use that. I'll just use its action pressed, because I think the timing for is release is kinda buggy. Or not buggy, but not the intended. If they have to release to move, like maybe that'll work for people who are like making mistakes and want to make sure they're making the right movements. But I don't intend that I'll be making any puzzles that are so hard that that's what's occurring. Let's see. Let me check the. Is this a function that exists? Now that I see where I'm messing up, I'm gonna go check these input events. Or I'm in input event. What am I doing? I want to check. Input, yeah. Input event is action pressed to released. Is action type. Yep. I'll check that. Hey, that's a signal for me to like hurry this up. So yeah, back in the player. Is this action pressed? Let me go ahead and close that. Let me go ahead and close that. Let me see if those are actual events or actual things I can press. Yay, so I can press those. Okay. Now let's press the pause menu. Or it's still doing the same thing. Like, grr. I'll just check for the pause and see if I get the same thing happening when I release. Because I don't like that. That's not fair. Yeah, I'm not too happy with the way that this is working. Called when there's an input event. If an event propagates up through the node tree until a node consumes it, it's only called if input processing is enabled, which is done automatically if this method is overridden. It can be toggled with set process input to true. But I'm here for this input event call is action released. And it's not an echo of the event key events. Not relevant for mouse button, screen drag, or none. I'll just control Z that. Okay. I would like for one to happen. Not multiple. This is bad. Okay, hit the pause button. Hit the pause button. Multiple still come up. Maybe I didn't read too far into this. Is this happening because because technically both players are at, I don't think I had to change anything. But well, I'm glad I changed stuff. I'm glad this feels more correct with the input instead of using the process, honestly. But now I think I see what's going wrong with this. This has to be put inside of each player. Since I'm handling both of the players, this is happening for both of the players at the same time. Not fun. So, duplicate code. And since I'm running out of time, I don't know instantly what I want to do with that. Or control tab it over. Same thing with this one, tab it over. Get another random if statement. Pause from player 1 and pause from player 2. Oh man. Player 1 is chosen to press pause. Player 2 has chosen to press pause. Yep. That should do it. That should do it. Nah. Man. It's like you can't press pause, but you can press pause. You still did them both of them happen at the same time for you? Why? Why? Yeah, but say player 2 I'm glad I changed which ones it was. It's still grabbing them both. So pause the game. Player 2 chosen to press pause. Now I'm going to check to make sure that both of my players are technically different players. They should be. In the grid, player 1 has ID 1, player 2 has ID 2. Yeah. But somehow they're both grabbing it. doesn't make any sense. Or I honestly think it may have something to do with how I'm grabbing this, and I want to change that to be device 1 and device 2 joy button. Let's start. Let's start. And I'll add R2 just for the sake of R2 being, so I can have the other controller do the same. I hope no one accidentally pressed those buttons. 7. Device 1. Oh. Alright, I have to access it again. Not what I want. Okay, cool. Save the UI, didn't do anything to it. Let's try now? Question mark? Still getting duplicates. Still getting duplicates. Or like really only one player should be able to pause, or like it's, yeah, I have both. That's the problem. I have both of these scripts running and I still feel like it's gonna hit this like regardless. So for me to not have that one player can't pause the game, that's a weird. I'll get rid of player 2 pausing the game. Is pauses, unpauses, pauses, unpauses, pauses, unpauses, pauses, unpauses. But does it say player 1 again? It does. Do my IDs not matter? That's what I feel like. You know what? This was a bad idea of having to check the IDs of the player 1 and player 2. I see what's going on. I see the two scenarios that I have going on, and since I know that this kind of sort of gets recorded somewhere, I think like on YouTube, I'm gonna draw it out. And I'm gonna have to find a better way to fix my problem. So I'll do a new drawing. Yep, give me a square. Yep. Or I guess I should ask for a text square. We're gonna call this script, or player 1 running his script. And it's a duplicate. They're the same script, but in the branching paths for, yep, and they will control duplicate that. Bring it over here. So what's happening is that I'm running through, they're getting their input. I'll draw an arrow. Boom. Not what I wanted, but okay. Delete here. And though, see, ID equals 1, so player 1, he has ID equal 1, he runs through the script, he goes and he does his get input, and get input it's gonna check your ID. Where, yeah, the first thing it's do is gonna check your ID. Cool, everything's good, everything's good. And after that, after checking your ID, it sees that you are player 1 indeed, and that you selected the pause button. Everything is great and dandy. Now, when we move over to player 2, I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate this. Or, I feel like the logic's not done on this. Get input. It checks the ID, sees that you're player 1. And sees, or that you're not player 2, which makes me think I should use an if else. But to continue on explaining what's going on, sees that you selected pause, Control X. You selected pause, and sees you're not player 2, and exits the function. So I'll put return here. And return. On the other hand, Control C, or player 2, he's running the exact same script. He's since I am able to select things. Player 2, ID 2. He's getting input. He checks his ID, sees that he's not player 1. He sees that you are player 2. Selects pause, and that sees that the button was selected for pausing, and then returns. So it ends up that player, and it looks like the order of execution, player 2 happens first because he's lower on the list of children, and then player 1 happens. And since they're running at the same time, it ends up pausing and unpausing the game. I'll draw another arrow to signify that. I'll make this arrow a little bit bigger. Line end, line weight, huge. Okay. Oh. These things are happening at the same time, and it ends up with the same result. I'll go ahead and I'll just duplicate that. The result is player 1 pauses the game, and player 2 pauses the game. Because I don't control, or rather I know sort of the flow of that it works. It works from the lowest child all the way up to the root node, and since I add player 1 to the game and then add player 2, player 2's things will happen before player 1's. Yes. There. Control. Give me that. Go ahead and just drag that over here. Go ahead and drag that over here. This is the flow that I should have been trying to avoid this whole time. But I was dumb and I didn't. And now my player code is going to be filled with bugs, and if I try to add more input to it until I fix it. And I don't know if I have the time to fix it. I'm already going like 30 minutes, 20 minutes over on this video. But now that I see the problem, I kind of am thinking about the solution. Instead of having just one player being able to pause the game, one master player. One master player right now. Well, I guess it's not one master player. It's this event now, the way that it's set up, is just being called once, or by each one. So I think I can have player 1 pause the game, and then player 2 unpause the game. Player 1 chose to press pause. Player 1 chose to press pause. Which makes me think I can't have it out of one of them. It needs to be, like, for this right here to work, it needs to be one of them. Yeah, I need to spend more time thinking about this, but this is what I have so far, and it works. I'll put in the ID. ID. There you go. It's a number. It's a number. I'll cast it to a string just to be sure. So we can at least tell which player's pausing. It has to be in one or two. It has to be in one section of the code somewhere. But it can't be in both. So there. Player 1 chose to press pause. Pause the game. Player 1 chose to press pause. Unpause the game. Player 1 pressed pause. Player 1 press pause. What's going on here? Wait, so when I move this guy. I move that guy. When this guy moves. Oh. Well, one, that's weird. It's weird because it's registering the ID as 1. And not 2. Well, like, I see why it's registering 1, so I'm saying 1, but it's weird that they both composite that way. Even more, the complexity gets complexer. That's what's going on here. I kind of want to wrap my head around it, but I know if I sit here and bang my head against the table, nothing will happen. I'm calling it good. Today was a good day. I got pausing in the game. Now, like, the next real step towards, like, making this game a thing, I have to be able to save my levels so I can load them back up when I'm done, which I think is going to be a lot easier than it was. Ooh, wait. Oh, checking that push now. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I like that. I like that type of push. It works for me. But I never fixed the crates. Man. Oh, lots of bugs pile up, and I gotta tackle them. I should be tackling them as they come. I just didn't think they'd take as long as they would. Typical programmer sadness. Anyway, thank you for sticking around and watching, and I will catch you tomorrow.